Welcome to the weekly challenge, where I challenge you to sharpen your skill and prove what you can do. Just like any serious athlete, you need to practice to stay sharp. So this week, I am challenging you to perform in-memory data caching. I'll explain more about that and the bonus challenge in a minute. But first, in case you don't know me, my name is Tim Corey, and it's my goal to make learning C# easier. If you want to become a better C# developer, this is the place to be. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell to get alerted when any new videos come out, which is about every Monday and Thursday. That's the typical schedule, but sometimes I'll throw in a bonus video or two during the week. Now, this week's challenge includes starter source code, so there's a link in the description to take you to the challenge page with the solution. Follow that link to get the starter code. You can also download the instructions there as well as a copy of this video. And if you get stuck, there's also a place where you can sign up to get the solutions. For one monthly fee, you can get access to every challenge I've ever issued, and you can cancel at any time. So, the goal of this challenge is to cache some data. Let's see how to do that. We're going to create an in-memory data cache. What that means is we're not going to use any kind of secondary database or text file storage or anything else. We're just going to use in-memory. Now, there's a method, and I'll show you that in a minute. There's a method called simulated person list lookup. What you're going to do is you're going to call that multiple times. The first time you call it, it's going to say, I don't have any cache. Therefore, it's going to go directly to that method, make the call, and get the data back. It will also print on your console, I've accessed the simulated database. Now, after that first time, I don't want it to print out that you've accessed a simulated database message again. I want you to be hitting the cache instead of going to the simulated database. Okay? Now, I say simulated because I didn't actually include a full database with this. I just create a method that looks like it's going to a database, but instead it's just creating a list and sending it back. Okay? Try to keep it simple here. So we'll look at that more in just a minute, but first let's talk about the bonus challenge. Now, a bonus challenge is to cache the results of not just that person list lookup, but also the person by ID and person list by last name as well. Those are two that actually take in data, use that data to get back a subset of the results. So you have to cache that as well. Now, here's the deal. One of the ways you could do that is by caching the person list lookup and then doing your own query on it. I don't want you to do that. I want you to treat this as if you're caching just these calls. Because with databases, you can't always say, well, here's a full list, because you might be able to store that in memory. But you could store these calls, which are more specific. So don't cheat and use the full list. Okay, so cache each call so that if I ask for person by last name and say Corey, the first time it should hit the database. The second time it should hit the cache. But if I ask for Smith, even if I've already asked for Corey, Smith call will hit the database because Smith is not the same as Corey. But then after that, we're going to hit the database for Smith again. Okay? See what I'm saying? So then if you called for Corey and then Smith, both of those would hit the cache, not the database, because you've already hit each of them once. Okay? So that's the goal here. All right? Now, just one quick note here, the last name, that's a case-sensitive match. And that's okay. We could make it case-insensitive if we wanted to. I don't want to go down that road and add a little bit more complexity, which is not a ton, but some. So just know that's case sensitive. All right, so here is your code. So it's a really simple program. It's a .NET Core application, just so you know. So it's .NET Core 2.2. Make sure you have that installed. And there's nothing in the static void main. That's where you're going to put your code. So what you'll do is you'll put in here at first 3 calls, let's say, to the data access, that's data access right here, to the simulated person list lookup, which if you notice is just a call to get this list. And it's a write line that says the database was accessed. Okay, so what you're going to want to see on your screen is this gets hit the first time, but after that, it doesn't get hit again. All right. So somehow cache the data, and then you don't have to call this method directly anymore because you have a data cache. Now you can put the data cache right in this if you want, but what I'll be doing is I'll be creating a separate method to call instead of this that basically wraps this in a caching layer. That's a little bit more object-oriented friendly, so it's a little bit more single responsibility principle and all the rest. So I'll be wrapping these calls in another call and then calling this if I need to. Okay, so that's the way I'm going to go about it. It's probably a better way of going about it just because you're not then touching your data access layer, which is ideal. Okay, so that's the standard challenge. The advanced challenge or the bonus challenge is to call these two methods and make sure that it caches after the first hit. So if I pass in a 3 here, it goes and hits the database. The next time I want a 3, it shouldn't even hit this method because it should say, okay, I already have that in the cache. All right. Now here's that last name. Here's the last name. If you wanted to do a case insensitive match, what you need to do is do a 2 upper or 2 lower. Doesn't really matter. And then make sure you do the same on the other side. And then that's a case insensitive match. So just so you know, that's how you do a case insensitive match if you wanted to, but the way it's written right now is case sensitive. It's up to you which one to use. Okay. So that is the challenge and the bonus challenge. Okay. So that's all there is to it. It's a pretty simple in-memory kind of thing. I say simple because it's not going to be a ton of code, but hopefully it'll make you think, hopefully make you think through how you make this call and how you store this data. I'm also not asking you for things like cache expiration or cache sizing or those type of things. That's a little more advanced. We may do that in a future challenge, but for right now, this is just a basic caching in memory. Okay? You got it? I hope so. Good luck and happy coding.